I met Lauren at a company barbecue last summer. She worked in marketing for one of our partners. She was confident, stylish, and knew how to own a room. The kind of woman who made people turn when she walked in. I was a project manager in construction, always covered in dust. She looked like she came from a magazine cover. I couldn't believe she was interested in me. But she was. She laughed at my dry jokes and said she liked real people. For a while, things felt easy. She brought color into my life, dinners, parties, a new rhythm. My dad met her once during Sunday dinner. He didn't say much that night. After she stepped outside to take a call, he looked at me. She talks a lot about herself, he said quietly. I told him she was just excited about her promotion. He nodded, but didn't reply. Later, I caught him watching her through the window. Something in his face told me he'd seen something I hadn't. Lauren loved her job. She loved talking about the people at her office. Names, gossip, plans, she always had stories. At first, I thought it was charming. Then it started to feel like I was just an audience. She liked attention. And people like her usually get it. But my dad liked simple things: coffee, quiet, good company. He didn't understand women like Lauren. Maybe I didn't either. Still, I wanted it to work. I wanted to prove that two different worlds could meet halfway. She said I made her feel grounded. I told her she made me feel alive. We were trying, but cracks started to show. She wanted fancier places, nicer clothes, bigger weekends. I was fine with beers on the porch and Sunday football. She rolled her eyes when I invited her to small gatherings. Called them blue-collar get-togethers. I laughed it off, but it stung more than I admitted. I started working longer hours. She said she missed me, but stayed out late with friends. The distance grew quietly, like a shadow you don't notice at first. Still, I ignored the signs. I thought every couple had ups and downs. One night, Dad told me, "Son, some people love what you do. Others love what you can give them. Figure out which one you're with before it's too late." I brushed it off, thinking he was being protective. But he knew. He always did. Lauren was beautiful, yes. But beauty can't hide selfishness forever. And though I didn't know it yet, the moment would come. The one where she'd show me exactly who she really was. The one my father had quietly seen coming all along. At the time, I still believed in us. I still thought love could fix differences. But love doesn't fix character. It just exposes it. And soon, I'd learn that lesson in the hardest way possible. It started 6 months later when Ryan showed up. He was Lauren's old college friend who had just moved to town. She said they'd always been close, like brother and sister. But the way she smiled when his name came up felt different. Ryan worked in finance, drove a black BMW, wore sharp suits. He had that kind of arrogance that filled the room before he spoke. The first time we met was at Lauren's birthday party. He walked straight up to me, looked me up and down, and smirked. "Construction, huh? Must be nice working with your hands," he said. I forced a smile. "Yeah, it's honest work." He laughed like he'd just made a clever joke. Lauren didn't notice the tone. Or maybe she did and ignored it. They had inside jokes I didn't get, stories from college, shared looks. I tried to be civil. But there was something about him that made my skin crawl. Ryan liked being the center of attention. Every conversation somehow turned into one of his success stories. People laughed, but it always felt forced. Lauren called him confident. I called it disrespectful. Soon, he was everywhere. Work dinners that ran late, weekend brunches without me. Texts at midnight, phone calls that made her step outside. When I asked about it, she said I was being insecure. "Ryan's my best friend, Ethan. You need to trust me," she said. So I tried. I really did. But the more I trusted, the more distant she became. She'd show up home smelling like new perfume, wearing jewelry I hadn't seen before. I asked where it came from. She said work bonuses. Her explanations were smooth, practiced, emotionless. One night, she complained about my old truck. Said it looked out of place, next to her building. Another time, she said my apartment felt too small for someone successful. She even laughed about my clothes. You should dress better if you want people to take you seriously, she said. I laughed it off, but it stung deeper than I admitted. Each comment felt like a tiny knife. I could feel her pulling away one word at a time. My dad noticed too. He didn't say much, just watched and listened. After dinner one night, he told me quietly, "That girl's already halfway gone, son. You just don't see it yet." I told him he was wrong. That Lauren was just stressed from work. He nodded, drying a dish slowly. "Your mother did the same thing before she left," he said. "She started finding faults in everything. Nothing I did was enough." I remember standing there, silent, not knowing what to say. He sighed and added, "When someone starts looking for reasons to leave, they always find them." I should have listened, but I was too proud, too in love, too hopeful. I kept telling myself Ryan was harmless, that Lauren wouldn't betray me, that she was better than that. But deep down, I already knew the truth. I just wasn't ready to face it yet. The memorial was held on a quiet Saturday afternoon. It took me 2 weeks to plan every detail. Dad never wanted anything fancy, just good food and honest stories. We rented the Union Hall, where he'd worked for 30 years. His old crew helped me set up tables, photos, and music he loved. Everything smelled like barbecue and sawdust, just like his world. Charlie, his best friend, drove 3 hours to help me set it up. He said, "Your old man would have been proud of this." That morning, Lauren spent an hour getting ready. She complained about having to wear black on a weekend. She kept checking her phone, smiling at the screen. When I asked if she was okay, she waved me off. "You know this isn't a cocktail party, right?" I said. She rolled her eyes. "I'm just trying to look nice." The hall filled with people who loved my dad. Old coworkers, neighbors, even kids he used to coach. Everyone had a story about him helping, fixing, or giving. Lauren sat beside me, scrolling through her phone. During the speeches, her screen kept lighting up. I saw her thumbs moving, typing, laughing quietly. Charlie glanced at her mid-speech, his jaw tightening. Mrs. Patterson, our old neighbor, gave her a look of disgust. Even my teenage cousin put his phone away after noticing her. I said nothing. This was Dad's day, and I wouldn't make a scene. But inside, I felt something breaking. Every buzz of her phone felt like a slap. Then it happened. During the slideshow, my phone vibrated. It was a text from Lauren. "This is boring. I'm leaving to get drinks with Ryan." I stared at the screen, thinking I misread it. But no, the words were right there. She was leaving my father's memorial to party. She leaned close and whispered, "I'm not feeling well. Just tell people that, okay?" She wanted me to lie for her, to protect her image, while she ran off with him. I didn't reply. I just watched her stand up, grab her purse, and walk out. Charlie noticed and asked softly, "Everything okay, son?" "Yeah," I said, "everything's fine." And somehow I meant it. Because in that moment, everything became clear. Dad had been right all along. She'd shown me exactly who she was. The rest of the service felt peaceful. Without her distraction, I could finally listen. People laughed, cried, shared stories about Dad's kindness. They said he was the kind of man who showed up when others didn't. I felt proud, even through the pain. After everyone left, Charlie hugged me. "Your dad saw things clearly, Ethan. Maybe now you do too." I nodded, holding back tears. Driving home in Dad's old truck, I felt his presence beside me. For the first time in months, the silence didn't hurt. It felt like peace. It felt like the start of something new. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. The quiet was heavy but calm. I could still hear Dad's voice in my head, steady and sure. He would have told me to stand tall and handle my business. So that's exactly what I did. Lauren was out drinking with Ryan, living her best life, while I sat surrounded by memories of the man who raised me. I looked around and realized something important. Everything in that apartment was mine. My name on the lease, my furniture, my bills. Lauren had never signed anything official. She'd only contributed to groceries and utilities. It hit me that I'd never truly let her in. Maybe part of me always knew she didn't belong here. I opened the closet and started packing her things. Every dress, every perfume bottle, every reminder of her. I didn't feel angry. Just done. It was like cleaning out poison from my space. I boxed everything neatly and stacked it by the door. Her expensive handbags, her shoes, her designer makeup. I found receipts in her nightstand. Hotel bookings on nights she said she was working late. A spare iPhone charger that wasn't hers. And a restaurant matchbook from the place she went with Ryan. Each item was another piece of proof. Proof that I hadn't been paranoid. I'd just been blind. I even found her birth control pills. She told me she stopped taking them for health reasons. Apparently, that was another lie. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just kept packing, calm and focused. By 11, her things were ready. The apartment looked bigger, cleaner, mine again. I called a locksmith and changed the locks. $200 for peace of mind was worth it. Then I sat at the kitchen table and wrote a note. Lauren, your things are in the hallway. Your key won't work anymore. You left my father's memorial to get drinks with Ryan. So I assume you'd rather be with him. Let him deal with your boring ass now. Don't contact me, Ethan. I taped it to the door where she couldn't miss it. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. At 2:17 a.m., I woke to banging on the door. Keys jingling, angry shouts. Ethan, open up, my key's not working. Her voice was slurred, full of panic. I stayed silent, listening to her struggle. Then came the crying. The screaming. The endless excuses. It was just drinks, you're overreacting. I didn't move. Eventually, she found the note. Her tone shifted to rage. You can't do this, I live here. No, she didn't, not anymore. After 20 minutes, she called Ryan. Through the window, I saw him pull up in his BMW. He looked miserable as they loaded her boxes. Good, let him deal with her chaos. When they left, I sat back down. The silence felt like freedom. I looked at Dad's old dog tags and whispered. I figured it out, old man. I finally learned. And I meant every word. The next few days were loud. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Lauren called. Then Ryan. Then her friends, her sister, even her coworkers. Everyone had an opinion. They said I was cruel. That I'd overreacted. That she'd made one mistake and didn't deserve this. One mistake. Walking out of my father's memorial wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A clear statement of who she really was. I didn't respond to any of them. I blocked numbers, deleted messages, and went to work. I buried myself in a new project that demanded long hours. 14-hour days felt easier than thinking. My crew noticed the difference. Boss seems sharper lately, one of them said. More like his old man. That made me smile. It was the best compliment I could get. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. Clear. 2 weeks later, I got a knock on the door. It was Lauren's mom, Mrs. Sanders. I'd always liked her. She worked as a nurse, humble and kind. Nothing like her daughter. Ethan, she said softly, I came to apologize. I invited her in for coffee. She looked around the apartment, now peaceful and clean. She told me you threw her out for no reason, she said. But her sister told me what really happened. She shook her head in disappointment. Leaving a memorial to go drinking, I didn't raise her that way. Her voice trembled, half anger, half heartbreak. I told her I appreciated her honesty. She nodded. Your father sounded like a good man, she said quietly. He deserved better, and so do you. We talked for an hour about loss, respect, and choices. She told me how Lauren's father always made excuses for her. How she never learned consequences because someone always saved her. She believes the world exists to forgive her, Mrs. Sanders said. She'll never change until it stops. When she stood to leave, she hugged me tightly. A man's character is revealed in how he handles pain, she whispered. Your dad raised you right. Don't let my daughter ruin that. I promised I wouldn't. After she left, I sat in silence, thinking about her words. She was right. Dad raised me to handle hardship with dignity, not bitterness. Lauren wasn't worth my anger. She was a lesson, not a loss. Over the next month, news reached me through mutual friends. Lauren and Ryan didn't last. Apparently, he got tired of her drama. She moved back in with her parents. Online, she posted about self-growth and healing. The same old performance, different audience. She tried reaching out again. Emails, voicemails, random visits at job sites. All with the same script, tears, excuses, and self-pity. I never answered. Dad always said some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. And this one had burned to ash long before I struck the match. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. Not happy yet, but clean inside. Like I'd finally swept out the storm she left behind. 3 months after the memorial, I went through Dad's storage unit. It smelled like oil, metal, and old wood. I opened boxes filled with tools, photo albums, and memories. At the bottom of one box, I found an envelope. On it, written in his steady handwriting, "For Ethan, when you need guidance." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a single page, dated 2 years ago. Son, it began, if you're reading this, I'm probably gone. I know life will test you. People will disappoint you. When you're broken, pay attention to who stays. Some will comfort you. Others will make your pain about them. Those people don't belong in your life. Being a good man isn't easy, but it's worth it. Sometimes it means walking away without anger. Sometimes it means standing alone and staying kind. I'm proud of you. Trust your instincts, protect your peace. Love, Dad. I sat there and cried harder than I had since the funeral. It wasn't just grief. It was gratitude. Even gone, he was still teaching me. That letter became my anchor. Every time I doubted myself, I reread it. It reminded me that strength isn't loud. It's quiet, calm, and steady like him. 6 months later, I met someone new. Her name was Emily. She was the project architect on a new construction site. She wore no fancy clothes, no perfect mask. She was sharp, grounded, and kind. She treated everyone, from foremen to interns, with equal respect. The first time we talked, I felt peace instead of excitement. No games, no performance, just ease. We had coffee after work one day. I told her about Dad, about the memorial, about Lauren. She listened quietly, never interrupted. When I finished, she said, "Some people show you who they are when life gets hard. Good thing you were paying attention." Her words stuck with me. We started seeing each other often. Dinners, long talks, walks after late shifts. She never tried to fix me. She just understood. A year after Dad's memorial, we got engaged. The wedding was small, simple, just family and close friends. Charlie agreed to stand beside me, like Dad would have. Emily's parents were both teachers, kind and humble. They reminded me of Dad in the best ways. The night before the wedding, I drove to the cemetery. I brought one of Dad's favorite cigars and sat beside his headstone. "Well, old man," I said, "I think I figured it out." I found someone real. She'd have made you proud. The wind rustled through the trees, soft and steady. Maybe it was just the breeze, but it felt like he was there, listening. When I left, I whispered, "Mission accomplished, Dad." The next morning, I married Emily under an open sky. No lies, no pretense, just truth. And for the first time since losing him, I felt whole again. Dad's lessons had come full circle. He taught me how to build things that last. And this time, I was finally building something real. After the wedding, life finally felt quiet again. No noise, no pretending, just peace. Emily and I moved into a small house with a big yard. On weekends, I worked on projects like Dad used to do. She'd bring me coffee and sit nearby, smiling. Sometimes, I'd catch myself thinking about the past. About the man who taught me everything. About the woman who almost made me forget who I was. But the pain was gone now, replaced by clarity. Losing my father broke me, but it also rebuilt me. He taught me that real love shows up. That respect matters more than charm. That peace is better than excitement. I carried those lessons into every part of my life. Emily and I visited Dad's grave on our first anniversary. I left fresh flowers and said quietly, "You were right." He'd always told me to trust my instincts. And this time, I finally had. As the sun set behind the trees, I smiled. Everything I'd lost had led me right here. To love that felt honest. To a life that finally made sense. Mission accomplished, old man. Mission accomplished.